After 37 years of marriage, I discovered my wife's affairs with multiple friends. They all satisfy me better than you ever could, she confessed without remorse. I nodded silently. 48 hours later, she was crying on my doorstep because I, 62 male, never imagined I'd be posting this crap on Reddit, but here we go. My life just imploded, and I need to vent to strangers, because honestly, everyone I thought I could trust has stabbed me in the back. For context, I've spent the last 37 years busting my ass building a construction business while raising 3 kids with my wife, 61F. We weren't perfect, but we were solid, or so I freaking thought. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our Friday night pizza tradition. Last year, we even bought that RV we'd been saving for since our 40s, planning to see all the national parks during retirement. Our 3 grown kids had moved out years ago. My oldest, 35 years old, as a surgeon. My son, 32 years old, runs his own restaurant. And my youngest, 29 years old, was engaged and planning her wedding for next spring. From the outside, we were that boring couple who actually made it work long term. The first hint something was off came last Christmas, when my wife seemed distracted, constantly checking her phone during family dinner. When I asked about it, she snapped at me about always monitoring her. I let it slide. Holiday stress happens to everyone, right? Dead wrong. Fast forward to 6 weeks ago. I was grilling steaks on our back deck when my wife went upstairs to shower. Her phone, sitting on the patio table, lit up with a text. I wouldn't normally look, but the preview caught my eye. Last night was amazing. Can't wait until he's gone next weekend. The message was from Thomas, my fishing buddy of 15 years. The same guy who helped me rebuild our deck after the storm 2 years ago. The same guy who stood beside me at my father's funeral and handed me tissues. The same guy who was supposed to go fishing with me the following weekend. I sat there, phone in hand, for what felt like forever. My mind raced through years of memories, trying to spot the signs I'd missed. The work events that ran late, the sudden interest in bridge club meetings, the girls' weekends that never seemed to include actual photos. When my wife came downstairs in her bathrobe, hair still wet, I held up her phone. Want to explain why Thomas is excited for me to be gone next weekend? I expected tears, denial, begging, something. What I got was a freaking laugh. She actually laughed and said, "Well, I guess it was bound to come out eventually." The next 10 minutes destroyed 37 years of trust. She confessed to sleeping with not just Thomas, but Robert and Michael. Not one-time mistakes. Ongoing affairs. 3 years with Thomas, 2 with Robert, and almost a year with Michael. "Why?" I managed to ask, my voice barely working. "After all this time, why would you do this?" That's when she dropped the line that keeps replaying in my head at 3 a.m. "They all satisfy me better than you ever could. Emotionally, physically, in every way that matters. I stayed because it was convenient, and you provided stability." She said it so calmly, like she was explaining why she preferred a certain brand of coffee. No remorse, no shame, just cold, brutal honesty. I didn't scream, didn't throw things, just nodded silently, went upstairs, packed a bag, and drove to a hotel. My phone blew up all night with her calls and texts, alternating between, "We need to talk," and "You're overreacting." I turned it off and stared at the ceiling until morning. For 48 hours, I went completely dark. No social media, no calls, nothing. Only contacted 2 people, my buddy Charles, retired attorney, and my brother James. Both said the same thing: document everything, lawyer up, and don't tip your hand. Those 2 days were a blur of rage and planning. I wasn't going to be the pathetic old guy who either forgives or falls apart. Not happening. I logged into our cloud account and recovered deleted texts, photos, and emails she thought were gone forever. Screenshots of them joking about me, photos that made me sick to my stomach, plans they made while I was working late to support our family. I discovered they often met at Robert's cabin when his wife was visiting her sister, or at our house in our bed when I was at job sites. Thomas had a key to our back door that I never knew about. The level of disrespect was staggering. On day 3, I walked back into our house with an ice-cold plan. My wife was in the kitchen, looking like she hadn't slept. She rushed toward me, relief washing over her face. "Thank God you're back," she said. "I've been so worried. We need to talk about this, work through it." I set my briefcase on the counter, and pulled out a folder. You're right. We do need to talk. These are divorce papers. I've already moved most of my things to a rental. You can stay here until the divorce is final. Then we'll sell and split the proceeds. Her face changed instantly. Divorce? Are you serious? After 37 years, you're throwing everything away because of a few mistakes. A few mistakes? I laughed. The sound harsh even to my own ears. 3 long-term affairs with men I considered friends isn't a mistake. It's a choice you made every day for years. She switched tactics, eyes narrowing. Fine. If that's how you want to play it, I'll get half your business, half your retirement, and this house. And when people ask why, I'll tell them how controlling and emotionally unavailable you were. How you drove me to find comfort elsewhere. Who do you think they'll believe? Me, the church volunteer who organized the food drive last month? Or you? That's when I slid the USB drive across the counter. Everything's on here. Every text. Every photo. Every email between you and your lovers. I've made copies. I'm not planning to share them unless you force my hand by contesting the divorce or spreading lies. The color drained from her face. You wouldn't dare. Try me, I said, my voice deadly calm. And FYI, I've already spoken with our children, showed them enough to make it clear what happened without traumatizing them with the X-rated details. They know the truth. You had no right, she screamed, slamming her hand on the counter. This is between us. Was it between us when you gave Thomas a key to our house? Was it between us when you laughed with Robert about how I'd never suspect anything? Was it between us when you told Michael I was a disappointment in bed? You made this public when you involved my friends. I walked out, leaving her screaming in the kitchen. In the driveway, I pulled out my phone and sent identical texts to Thomas, Robert, and Michael. I know everything. Your wives will too by tomorrow morning. Choose how they find out. Within minutes, my phone exploded with calls and texts from all 3 men. Thomas. Please, man, we can talk about this. Margaret will leave me. Robert. It was a mistake. Helen doesn't deserve this. Michael. Think about our friendship. This will destroy my marriage. I blocked all 3 numbers. Those assholes weren't my problem. The next morning, I met with each of their wives individually. Hardest conversations of my life. Margaret, Thomas's wife of 20 years, crumpled like paper when I showed her the evidence. I knew something was off, she whispered. He's been working late, always on his phone. I thought maybe he was gambling again. She threw her wedding photo across the room, glass shattering against the wall. Helen, Robert's wife, was ice cold after the initial shock. She twisted her wedding ring off, dropped it in her coffee cup and said, 17 years, 3 kids, and he couldn't keep it in his pants. When I left, she was on the phone with a locksmith, changing their house locks. Patricia, Michael's wife, nodded slowly as I spoke, no surprise in her eyes. I found lingerie receipts last Valentine's Day, she said. When I asked who they were for, he said they were for me, but they weren't my size. He convinced me I was crazy, paranoid. She thanked me for confirming what she'd suspected for months. By nightfall, our entire social circle was imploding. The texts and voicemails from my wife alternated between threats and desperate pleas. I didn't respond to any of them. What I hadn't told my wife was that I'd also been to see Pastor Wilson at our church, where we'd been members for 2 decades. I showed him select evidence, nothing graphic, just enough to make the situation clear. I'm not asking you to take sides, I told him. But she's going to need support when this all comes out. I can't be the one to provide that anymore. Pastor Wilson rubbed his temples. In 30 years of ministry, this is troubling. We always advocate for reconciliation, but the scale of deception here. He promised to reach out to her while respecting my decision. The next phase involved our business. While my wife occasionally helped with bookkeeping, I had built the construction company from nothing. Charles helped me years ago to legally establish it as separate property with proper documentation. The divorce agreement offered her a fair settlement, but kept the business intact. 48 hours after serving the divorce papers, I heard pounding on my apartment door. Through the peephole, I saw my wife, mascara streaming down her face, hair a mess, looking nothing like the composed woman who had calmly destroyed our marriage 2 days earlier. I opened the door but blocked the entrance. "What do you want?" "Everyone knows," she sobbed, pushing past me into the apartment. "Everyone. Margaret posted the whole thing on Facebook. Helen told the entire bridge club. Patricia is filing a restraining order against Michael. The church prayer chain is buzzing with it. I can't even go to the grocery store without getting dirty looks. And the kids won't speak to me." I shut the door and leaned against it, watching her fall apart on my new couch. So, her voice rose hysterically. "My life is over! Thomas's wife is filing for divorce. Robert's too. They're all blaming me, saying I initiated everything. Michael told Patricia I seduced him. They're throwing me under the bus to save their own marriages." "That sucks," I said flatly. "Sounds like your boyfriends aren't as loyal as you thought." "You have to help me," she pleaded, grabbing my arm. "Tell people we're working it out. Say it was just a rough patch. I'll do counseling, whatever you want. Please." I removed her hand from my arm. "No, I won't lie for you. What you're experiencing now are consequences. Welcome to reality." "But I'll have nothing," she wailed. "No friends, no respect. The kids won't even let me see our grandchildren." "You still have family," I pointed out. "Your sister has called me 3 times, asking about you. Your brother offered you a place to stay. And our kids will eventually come around. They're hurt, not heartless." What happened next shocked even me. She slid to her knees on my apartment floor, sobbing uncontrollably. "I don't understand what's happening. This isn't how it was supposed to go. They promised they'd stand by me if you ever found out." "They lied," I said simply. "Just like you did. For years." After she left, my phone buzzed with a text from James. "Still on for dinner? Carol's making that chili you like." I smiled for the first time in days. My sister-in-law had been checking on me daily, making sure I was eating and not drinking too much. My brother had offered me a place to stay, but I needed my own space. The following weeks brought more drama. My oldest daughter called Thomas's adult son, who had been her childhood friend, and told him everything. My son confronted Robert at his restaurant, telling him he was no longer welcome there. My youngest daughter postponed her wedding, telling me through tears, "I need to be sure I'm not making a mistake. What happened with you and Mom has me questioning everything." I reassured her that her relationship wasn't doomed to follow our pattern, but privately, I was devastated that my failed marriage was affecting her future. The surprises kept coming. My wife's sister Jane showed up at my apartment one afternoon. I braced for accusations, but instead she handed me a box of my old vinyl records my wife had thrown out years ago. "I saved these," she said. "Never liked how she dismissed your interests." Before leaving, she added, "I love my sister, but what she did was wrong." I told her the same thing. 3 months after Discovery Day, I was at a job site when I got an urgent call from Charles. "She's contesting the divorce," he said. "Claims your evidence was obtained illegally." "It wasn't," I replied. "It was our shared cloud account, logged into with my own password." "I know that, but she's desperate." "She's hired Bradley Wilson." Bradley Wilson was an aggressive divorce attorney known for scorched earth tactics. This meant war. I called an emergency family meeting. Just my kids, no spouses. "Your mother is fighting the divorce. Things might get ugly. I want you all to stay out of it." My oldest daughter crossed her arms. "No way." "I'm a witness to her affair with Thomas. I saw them together last year at that hotel near my hospital. I never said anything because I wasn't 100% sure and didn't want to hurt you without proof." My son nodded. "Robert bragged to me once when he was drunk. Said something about Mom being wild when you weren't around. I thought he was just being gross, not literal. Even my youngest had a story. Michael used to text Mom while we were having our Sunday brunches. She'd smile at her phone and say it was work stuff on weekends. Their revelations hit me hard. My kids had been carrying these suspicions, protecting me. I hugged each of them, grateful beyond words. The next day, I instructed Charles to send Bradley Wilson the complete evidence package: texts, emails, photos, plus my children's written statements. 24 hours later, my wife dropped her contest and accepted the original terms. At the final divorce hearing, she sat across the courtroom looking defeated. When the judge asked if she understood the settlement terms, she whispered, "Yes, Your Honor." No fight left. In the hallway afterward, she approached me. "Was any of it real? Our marriage?" I considered the question. Parts of it were. The kids. Building the business. But you can't cheat for years and ask if the marriage was real. You made it fake. She nodded, eyes down. I never thought it would end like this. That's the thing about consequences, I replied. Nobody ever thinks they'll happen to them. 6 months after that first text message, I sold the business to my foreman who had worked with me for 15 years. The sale gave me enough to retire comfortably, though I still do consulting to keep busy. As for the aftermath, Thomas lost his insurance job when word got around. He now works at a hardware store and lives in a studio apartment. Robert's wife took half of everything, including that cabin where he'd taken my wife. Michael moved to another state, his reputation in tatters. My wife moved near her sister, unable to face our community. Our children visit her occasionally, but relations remain strained. Last week, I ran into my wife at our grandson's birthday party. My son had scheduled our visits at different times, but my flight was delayed, causing an overlap. "You look good," she said hesitantly. "Thanks, so do you." "I'm seeing someone," she offered. "A therapist, I mean. Trying to understand why I did what I did." I nodded, not dismissively this time. "It wasn't about you," she continued. "It was about me feeling invisible as I got older. About wanting to feel desired again. About being afraid of getting old." "We were all getting older," I pointed out. "I didn't cheat." "No, you didn't," she admitted. "You were always the better person." As she was leaving, she paused. "For what it's worth, I am sorry. Not just for getting caught, but for the pain I caused. You deserved better. I'm dating now, a widow I met through a hiking group. We take it slow, no pressure. I've learned that life at 62 still has surprises. Sometimes I think about those 37 years and wonder how much was real. But mostly, I focus on what's ahead, new adventures, new relationships based on honesty, and the knowledge that I had the strength to walk away when staying would have cost me my self-respect. The life I planned is gone. The life I'm building might be better. Only time will tell.